Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Drive Guide. You join me right beside my 2009 Triumph Bonneville SE. And even though this is hardly a brand new bike and might not be the most exciting motorcycle on the road, it is a special story to me and something that I wanted to share. And also, I have made a few business expense claims on this motorcycle for the sake of producing this video, so I better follow through on that. So what is this bike and why do I have it? Well, I was feeling a little bit bored. I felt like I needed to push myself a little bit. And in January of this year, I was browsing through Copart, that wonderful car site that I'm sure that many car enthusiasts know about. And I stumbled upon this. Now, in the pictures, it didn't look all that bad. It was obvious there was a very badly damaged rear wheel, but otherwise, everything kind of looked okay. So I put a bid on it, drove up to Edmonton to go get it, and I picked this motorcycle up with relative ease. I'd say that the bidding process was very straightforward. Getting there and following the instructions of what to actually do at the front desk was very straightforward, but actually getting the motorcycle into the bed was a little bit complicated, as I probably went through a few too many ratchet straps to just ensure that this thing was okay at the back of my friend's truck. But after that, well, let's cut to some clips to see what it was like once I got it under the light of this storage bay, to see what was exactly wrong with it. I've taken off all of the indicators on the bike. Those were pretty badly damaged. And here is another cause of damage. So here in this trash bin is the exhaust that was on this Triumph when I picked it up. It's from British Customs, an aftermarket company in California. And I thought it all looked so good that I might as well go out and buy the exact same pieces, and here they are, all beautifully presented. But another thing about this bike is that I've never ridden it, I've never even started it up. I don't know what to expect. Now you may be asking yourself, and I've certainly heard this a fair few times, as to why I would want to do this anyways. I have close to no information about this bike. I have the mechanical aptitude of a fish, and basically, why would I want to spend my time doing something like this? Well, first of all, I want to be able to build up my skills so I can have some mechanical aptitude. Like I said, I've got the time that I can dedicate, and it did seem appropriate for me to get a little more familiar with how motorcycles work, as I do want to get into that whole world of motorcycle journalism, and of course have a little bit of know-how if I'm ever riding a bike like this and something goes wrong. Will I be able to fix it on the side of the road? So that's the summation of this project for me. I do want to be able to make something out of it, be able to take it out in the summer. That's my biggest deadline, really, is to make sure that I've got a working thing when it comes round to the time that I can put it on the road. But if I'm fortunate enough that I've been able to mend it up and it's in good condition, maybe sell it, maybe make a profit. But at the end of the day, this is how I'm planning to spend my free time for the next little while. So hopefully everything that comes out of it will be, at the very least, educational. So as you can see there, not all is perfect, and there were certainly some issues that gave me a couple scares along the way. This certainly isn't a video giving you, kind of instruction of what you should do with a scrap motorcycle or things that you should do to fix it. Del Boy's Garage, for everything related to Triumph servicing or just fixing broken parts, he was my saving grace to this project, and without those videos I don't think I would have been able to find as useful as a resource to constantly go back to in doing the work that had to be done. So first thing that had to be done was getting rid of that rear wheel, getting rid of that damaged exhaust, and then doing some further assessment to see what other damage needed to be sorted out. So I invited along my good friend Justin, who is a automotive technician. He knows what he's talking about, and we spent a little bit of time working on the brakes and going through some other smaller things that I didn't particularly understand. Here's his thoughts towards the Triumph. Okay, so Justin and his genius has shown up, and want to give him a 2-second review on what you think on the bike.
I think it's kind of like it's like an abusive relationship. You need to work on it. Eventually, hopefully, it'll be good again.
Mm-hmm.
But you just stay hopeful.
Or maybe you'll have to replace such the main structure of it that it turns out you might as well have gotten a new one.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Same thing. Well, Justin is the expert mechanic. He's the one that's actually qualified to do these things. As I showed off earlier, have done a little bit of work in. We took the rear wheel off and discovered what could have been, something that had fallen off of a truck. That's the axle.
Bolt.
The bolt. And that is so bent. So there might be some significant work that needs to be done. I mean, I really hope the subframe doesn't really need to be replaced. I really hope the frame doesn't need to be replaced. But Justin and I are now going to do the brake flush, because we found out, because Justin's a genius, that the rear caliper is totally seized and will need to be replaced, which, no problem. But we can only do the brake flush on the front. So Justin's going to tell me what to do, and I'm going to listen to him. So at this point, Justin and I are doing the work that needed to be done with the brake fluid flush and a few other jobs that came at the front of the motorcycle, like switching out the new handlebar and installing a new ignition switch. Here, on another day, I'm installing the new rear fender, as there wasn't one at all when I first picked up the bike, and now reinstalling the rear wheel and the front wheel with brand new tires, front and rear. So I finally had the opportunity to roll the bike backwards and forwards for the first time in a very long time. Decided to apply a new badge on the engine casing and start draining the oil. So I'm taking a break right now as I let the oil drip out from the filter, and there has been a little bit of work done to the bike that I haven't shown off, because I've come to realize that filming and following all the guides online, the videos I'm watching, my book, it's very difficult to actually keep track of what's going on, plus trying to film doing stuff. So things to point out, one thing that Justin and I discovered when he was here was that my rear brake caliper was seized. There was no way of opening it up. So I've got a replacement that I'm really hoping will solve the last issue for me, but I'm currently having a very hard time getting it off, so I've drenched it in some WD-40. Hopefully that will solve some problems. You see I've got a new handlebar up there, but I need to get the right screws for the bar ends, just because as it looks right now isn't the best. I put the rear wheel back on, as you can see, and this is going to be my largest concern when I go in for the service inspection, because even though it fit in fine and it looks like all of the spacers and all of that was accounted for, if it's out in alignment, then all of this back here is going to have to come off. I'll also point out that I bought a rear fender, as I wanted to have the stock head. I want to have the stock tail lights and the indicators, and it was just so much easier to just have the entire component. So that and the rear brake caliper came from a very lovely man in Canyon Motorcycles. I'll put the link down below. Oil's draining. I've drained the front. I think I mentioned that. I don't know. I don't know. It's been a long day. I'm going to let that drain out. Then I'm going to try and attach the exhaust, attach the foot pegs. Seat can screw in very easily. And then maybe I'll start it up today. I really want to, first of all, see if that is okay. But I'm surely going to have to wait a while to get that horrible brake caliper to open up so I can put on the new one. I think that's it for now. Let's carry on with filming. So finishing up the work with the oil change, I decided to fire up the Triumph for the first time. Oh! Holy shit! Oh, sputtering. Oh, that was something though. So the most challenging pieces that really needed two sets of hands, that was dealt with fairly easily. Few other bits and bobs along the way. I installed the new exhaust, loaded it back up into another truck to get it sent off to the inspection, and it came out mostly okay. I knew that I'd have to get these little plastic reflectors on there, so those were just taped on the side. The clutch lever was damaged, and that was failing my test, even though the wonderful people at forget their names right now, but I'm going to put the link in the description as to where I got this bike inspected. They got that all fixed up for me. And then it was a matter of getting it on the road and taking it for a ride. But I went off to Toronto, so I really didn't get to spend much of my summer with this motorcycle, and I almost forgot about it in the way because of how many other motorcycles I was testing out from those various manufacturers and just having a blast with those. I kind of forgot that I had this thing waiting at home for me to actually have a proper ride. But when I got back, I decided to give this thing a little bit of a review. So what I like most about riding this Bonneville is obviously the noise. The whole point of a bike like this, for my own personal ownership, is to be on a motorcycle that's interesting at slow speeds, that you can have fun doing that kind of thing for no other reason than to just have fun. But this is a surprising motorcycle to me in the way that it does feel so archaic and simple and just put together with the least complicated components to make the least complicated bike. It does feel quite nimble. It feels just as light on its feet as my Honda, and with its engine has more than enough power behind it that if you don't flex your core and you don't pay attention to your right hand, then you could lean back a little bit on the bike, and that's exciting. This might be a fairly obvious thing to say to people that have done this kind of thing before, but I've never rebuilt anything before. I feel like I have a very close relationship with this machine. I have a connection to it that I've never had with a car that I've owned or any other piece of mechanical equipment, really, because it's been a labor of love. It's been stress, it's been difficult at times, and of course there's the relief that it's all over and done with now, but you had the joy of telling people how work was going. My friends wanted progress reports because they seemed interested in how everything was panning out, and there was issues along the way, but this bike has turned out to be everything that I was ever wanting for out of any motorcycle, and I couldn't be happier for having this in my garage, really. It fits me perfectly. The ergonomics feel just right. I love the way it looks, the sound, like I said, and for everything that I want out of a toy, this Bonneville supplies it all. So there you go. Not all that big and in-depth of a video reviewing this bike, but its lightness, its character, its ability to be just totally inoffensive to anybody. There's a lot of people in the world that don't like motorcycles, but like this is just the vision of what a motorcycle should be without any more garnishings adding on top that just make it boisterous or offensive. It's just everything a motorcycle needs to be, in my opinion. Now, I said at the beginning that this was something I undertook as a challenge. I'm fortunate enough that I had a little money on the side that I felt like I could do something with, and I wanted a project to kind of get my brain stimulated. I wasn't working enough at the time to keep myself satisfied, and it's a project that I am so glad I have done. I look forward to the additional work that I have to do on this motorcycle in terms of regular servicing or addressing issues. And I should actually make it clear that the amount of money that I put in to purchase this motorcycle and get it road ready was about the same as buying a used Triumph Bonneville, but I can't really see one that has 20-ish thousand kilometers on the clock. So I know I've overpaid in the sense for what I have beside me, but that experience of, first of all, learning to turn a wrench properly, get things properly greased up, all of the core mechanical things that I know I've never been particularly good at. Now that I have a little more confidence with a set of tools in my hand, I've now done some more serious work on my own car, like change the rear brakes, and that's something I would have never thought to do unless I had this in my possession. And I would like to address at this point, there's a very good reason why you're not seeing many videos on my channel at this point. I am now back in university. I decided that, much in vain with this project here, I needed to get my brain stimulated again. I needed to challenge myself. And even though I am immensely grateful of everything I've done in the world of YouTube, and I'm not giving it up entirely, I'm not pursuing it in the way that I once did. And you will probably see that in the video quality. You'll probably see that in the amount of videos coming up. If I get a press car handed off to me, I'm going to take it. I'm going to share my best thoughts that I can with it, but really go as far in depth as possible. During a busy midterm week or exam week, I just won't cover a car. Simple as that. So you will continue to see me here on this channel. Your support is always appreciated, and something that I do not take for granted. I do think about how lucky I am that I get to share something like this with you, and the fact that I've even been able to purchase this is very much in part to the viewership that I've had on YouTube. So thank you very much for watching. I hope 2021 has been fair to you. I hope 2022 is going to be a fantastic year for you. Thank you very much to the people that helped me out for this project specifically. My friend Joe, who lent me his truck, Justin, who was very much my right-hand man for this project, and every worry and stress I had, I went directly to him. And my parents for allowing me to use this storage bay, because this project definitely wouldn't have been possible if I didn't have this space to work on it. I'm also going to link all of the major businesses that helped me out in purchasing the parts that I needed, but also gave great advice along the way. So I think that's about it. Happy New Year, happy holidays, and I look forward to seeing you again sometime soon.